So here we are again, another episode of this series. I still don't got a name for it, but talking about steals in the NHL, whether it be trades or, in this case, the draft. And remember, comments down below. I want to hear suggestions for future episodes of just absolute steals. Let's keep it to recent memory, okay? I don't want to go back to 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. Something that we can talk about and look at now and see the fruits of its labor. And a big one today, Cole Caufield. And the Habs absolutely stole this kid. I don't care what people say. I made a video a couple of years ago talking about how this kid maybe should have been first overall, okay? And look, Jack Hughes is going to be, might already be, a superstar. Guys like Mo Seider and Zegras were in that draft, so you can debate. And I know Caufield had not as good of a season as we thought he was going to, especially after that monster Stanley Cup playoff run he went on as a rookie with the Montreal Canadiens last year. But as soon as St. Louis came, this guy was scoring at a clip where he finished with over 20 goals with not having scored his first goal of the season until November. Okay, and he went through so many droughts. He was playing in the minors. The fact that this kid came out with 23 goals, trust me, if he plays a full season with that kind of confidence, that kind of swagger, he could get 40. I'm telling you that, no joke, no cap, he could get 40 easily. Okay, so if we take a look at the draft, he was an absolute steal. Who would you pick him over? Okay, let's go in the top 10 here. So, obviously, we know the top 3 were Hughes, Kakko, and Doc. If I'm looking at that right now, I'm definitely taking Cole Caufield over Kaapo Kakko and Kirby Dach, who is, coincidentally, a Montreal Canadien now. At 4, it gets interesting. Colorado and Bowen Byram. Okay, that's a good defender who, even just in the Stanley Cup final run, played very well for the Avalanche. And you could make your debates there. I'm still taking Cole Caufield there because, look, scoring goals is the hardest thing to do in the NHL, okay? And then in the rest of the top 10, the only 2 guys that I would really consider taking over Caufield are Mo Seider to Detroit at number 6, who just won the Calder, and Trevor Zegras, number 9, Anaheim. Okay, and those are 2 really tough picks. Zegras was a lot of people's picks to win the Calder this past season. He had a very good season with the Anaheim Ducks, and look, I understand that's tough. People see a lot of highlight reel stuff for Trevor Zegras. To me, past the highlight reel stuff, as far as a complete player, I don't think he's, look, I think he's going to be a star, but I think he's going to be one of those guys that people look at as overrated. That's just my personal opinion, because he's always going to be on the highlight reel, but you're always going to look at his point totals, you're going to look at his analytics, you're going to look at his defensive game, and it's going to be a bit underwhelming. That's what I think Trevor Zegras is going to be. Okay, so I would still take Cole Caufield over Zegras. As far as Seider, I'm taking Seider. I've seen too much from Seider in Detroit. This guy's going to be an absolute stud. Maybe the next Victor Hedman. So that's one guy that I get. And of course, it's Steve Yzerman. This guy's money with his picks, okay? And then if we look at the rest of the first round, okay, I mean, you've got some guys in there that are good players. Matthew Boldy in Minnesota at number 12. He's a good player. Cam York is developing. Alex Newhook for Colorado, the Newfoundland boy, he's a good player for sure. We just saw him in the Stanley Cup. There's a couple of good players in here, but past that, do you really see any names in this list that you would take over Cole Caufield? No. That's right, you don't, okay? So to me, Cole Caufield is a slam dunk top 5 pick. And look, I'll give you guys a little thing. Let's do a mini little redraft here. Oh, I might get flamed for this. Where would I put Cole Caufield on the spot here in this new top 5? All right, so if it's me, at number 1, I'm sticking with Jack Hughes to the New Jersey Devils, but it's tight, because I really do think that these guys are maybe even on the same wavelength. We'll see what Jack Hughes does now. I think he's primed to have a breakout season and maybe separate himself from the pack, but for right now, I'm going still with Jack Hughes at number 1, but it's close. At number 2 to the Rangers, I would go with Mo Seider. I would go right there instead of Kaapo Kakko to the Rangers. And number 3 to Chicago, that's where I would throw in Mr. Cole Caufield. So he would go from number 15 to number 3 overall to me. I know even now it looks kind of bonkers given that he hasn't produced a full season of solid offense in the NHL, but he will. This upcoming year, trust me, he will. And I think, in my mind, if you jump from 15th overall to 3rd, I mean, come on. If you guys would do it, he would at least be a top 5 pick, would he not? So, to me, any way you slice it, Cole Caufield was absolute highway robbery for the Montreal Canadiens. They stole this kid. And honestly, they're going to reap the benefits for years and years to come. I mean, the only thing is he's American and he's playing in a Canadian market. We saw what happened with Gaudreau and Tkachuk and maybe Matthews in a couple of years. So that's the only worrisome thing. But I do think he will sign a long-term contract, at least that gets him to UFA. So between 5 and 8 years with the Montreal Canadiens at the end of next season or during it, before it, whatever you like. I think he will be long-term. He'll be a Montreal Canadian for a long time. So that'll do it for me on this one, guys. Let me know what you think. A little interesting tidbit on this one. Yes, obviously, Cole Caufield was a steal for Bergevin at the time and the Habs at 15th overall. But where would you slot him? Okay, give me a new top 5 or top 10 of the 2019 NHL draft. You know I'll be down in the comments. I'll be reading it, and I want to see what people think in the comments down below. It's very, very interesting stuff. Like, comment, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.